Welcome to the channel and show, Jeanne Marie. I am very happy to see you there today. So I already introduced you to our audience just before, but I would like you to explain to them a bit more about what you do. And because I already touched a bit on your experience and the work that you do with the parents out there, but I'd love for you to explain to us a bit more on this. So, let's try to do it briefly because I know it's a wide range for you. But how do you work with parents, and where are these parents in their parenting journey when they come to you?
Okay, so yes, it's a big question, and I'll try to answer it quickly. But basically, I work with parents from about the third trimester of pregnancy, so before birth through the age of 6. For me, the first 6 years of life are the foundation for the rest of our lives. So I really want to empower parents to know that, to have the tools and understanding of child development. And then one of the big things that I do, especially with parents that are expecting, is really help them set up an environment that is going to be welcoming, but most importantly, is really going to help their child adapt to their time, place, and culture with ease. Because we tend to live in very adult-centric environments, and our newborns and our little ones have different needs. So it's just a matter of us understanding that, and also knowing that this is temporary. This is just a very finite moment in time. So to rearrange a few things, to have a different perspective is what I try to give parents.
That's very, very interesting. That's very interesting. And it's true that especially at the beginning can be really tricky for some parents to adapt to this new life.
Yes, and I will say my I think my philosophy too is with really empowering parents to have what I call a yes environment, so that they are not constantly stressed out and anxious because their child is going to touch something or get into something and they're constantly saying no. So I want you to live in harmony with your little ones at home. So yes, it's going to make be a few little changes, but it's very temporary. So yes,
it's very interesting and it's really needed. So I know that you have a podcast. So talk to us a bit more about that. So where can they find you, and what kind of topics do you touch on?
Okay, so my podcast is my brand new latest baby.
Yes.
And that I started a few months ago. It's called The Art of Parenting. And a few years back, I did a lot of interview series, and I realized just how much I loved interviewing and learning from other parenting professionals, mindfulness, all sorts of different areas that I think are all tools that we need when we are parenting. So the art of parenting is really, for me, conversations that I have with other professionals in the realm of parenting, child development, mindfulness, body image, screen time. I mean, it's been a wide range. And so I share weekly an interview that I do. And I like to call them more conversations, because for me, I'm learning so much and I'm really having a conversation with another person. Oftentimes they're also parents, so I ask them how that's going for them. Yeah. And I always ask them what the definition of the art of parenting is for them. So that is available on all the different podcast platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, all of that.
Good, perfect. And go check it out, because I know it's a really valuable resources, and I like how you see parenting as a holistic thing, not just, as you say, saying no to, but like really incorporating like all the aspect of parenting into that. And I really love that. So go check it out. It's totally worth it. Okay, so now that we know a bit more about what you do, I'd like to talk about your motivation, because I know that you entered the parenting world after another life before, if I can say so. So, how did you end up in this world? What made you shift from a career in the advertising industry to a Montessori teaching career, and later on now as becoming a parenting expert?
Well, it's one of those things. I think we all go through a moment in time when we question what we're doing with our lives and if we are satisfied with our lives, what is the impact that we want to make and such. And that's exactly what happened to me when I was about 43.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just a little background. I'm French American. My husband is French, and we live in the U.S. And at that time, we were kind of debating whether we were going to go back to Europe.
Yeah.
And that's really when you're starting to think about big changes like that. For me, I realized that I didn't necessarily want to continue doing the work that I was doing. And like you say, I was in marketing, advertising, graphic design, all of that. And I really, started thinking, like, what is something that I'm really passionate about that I could transfer that passion into being impactful and really making a difference. And to be honest, I always loved working with children. As young as I can remember, I would find a way to be with the little ones. When my brother was born, I would volunteer at his daycare. Like, it was always something that I was passionate. So I looked into what was the international certification for Montessori so that I would be able to work in Europe. And lo and behold, there's a international Montessori training center right here in San Diego. And it happened within literally 24 hours because I called the institute. They said, "Oh, we've already started our course. Do you want to come in tomorrow to meet the director?" And I hung up the phone, and I knew right then and there that my life was going to take a turn. And It did, because that morning I went in, sat in on a first lecture, and I was like, this is where I need to be. This is fascinating. And what I think also really helped me in that is that I already had children. So I had a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, and listening to the lectures was interesting because it was like, oh, I didn't do so bad. I did okay. Like, this is all making sense. Like, my intuitive parenting actually was, what was right on. And it just became a passion. So I actually went back to work that morning, gave my notice, and went back to school to do my master's in Montessori education. I later did another training. And like you say, the whole parenting thing is that I think because I was already a parent, I was an older teacher.
Yeah.
Parents were constantly asking me questions, and you realize that parents need a lot of support. Like, we don't have a manual, we don't have an instruction booklet that goes with our newborn, and there's a lot. Like you say, it's very holistic. There's a lot to consider, and so that's really where I changed my perspective, realizing that parents, because the children that were coming in the classroom are fine. Like, they're great. Children are amazing. It's the parents that are like, sometimes kind of getting in the way and just needing more support. So that's really why I shifted and went back actually and did a birth to 3 certification to really help them through the pregnancy, the preparation, and then really, helping them through those first 6 years.
Yeah, and that's really much needed. That's exactly what I see with my clients during their pregnancy. There is a lot of unknown, unspoken, maybe, I don't know, but and they are looking for more resources, not telling them what to do, but just like guidelines of here are some tools that you can use if you struggle, because everybody has his own way of parenting, right? So
yes, and I will say one thing to that is, I think the most important tool that you have is to quiet yourself and follow your intuition,
Yes.
really, because if we become parents, it's something that most often it's something that we're wanting to do.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from a place of love.
Yeah.
And, sometimes we get so overwhelmed with the noise all around us and, oh no, you should do this and you should do that and all this, that at some point we need to go, okay, wait a minute here. This is me. This is my child. I'm bringing to the table my own experience, and this is, my opportunity to evolve and so forth. So yes, there's a lot of beautiful tools out there, and I'm one of them, but I always go back to, how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
What is your child telling you? And it's really, that to me is really something important that I try to emphasize, is observation, really observing our children and observing ourselves with no judgment, with really just that scientific observation. And then knowing, having a little bit of guidance as to human development in general. Why does a child before 3 act like this and a child after 3 act like that, and so forth. But most often, know in your heart what you need and what your child needs.
Yeah. I agree with
Yeah.
you. It's very,
Yeah.
very interesting, and I love that. I love the message that you're giving, and it's very important for parents to listen to that, because there is a lot of questioning, and but they have all the answers, as you said.
Yeah, and I think with social media and all this, it's emphasized even more, because we're constantly looking and comparing, and oh, they do this and look at their house and all this. It's like, forget all of that. Like, this is you. You get to do you, and that's it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
We're gonna come back on that. I have a good question on that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I love knowing your story too. It's a great epiphany moment that you had. Like, yes, this is what I want to do. I love that, and I love knowing like the background story behind it. That's very, very interesting.